Well, it's the weekend, and the weekend means movies, and movies means Michael Snyder. As we go out to the left coast and find out what's happening. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Yeah.
Greetings from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we're ready to dive in. Things are starting to heat up. We're getting a little bit of Oscar bait out there. And it's time for film reviews. Shall we proceed?
Go right ahead.
Well, all right. Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials is the second film to be adapted from the Maze Runner book series. I assume there's one. There's no way in hell you'd get me to read one of these things. I mean, this is the latest in this dystopian young adult sci-fi series that, to me, is better than most of the others. Let's put it this way. I like the two Maze films better than Hunger Games or Divergent or The Giver or Twilight or whatever other similar stuff is being cranked out. Still, it's not great stuff. There is an ugly future ahead of us. Kids are being kind of snatched from their families and eventually tossed into mazes where they have to kind of figure out a way to get out. And then the organization doing this, which is called, by the way, via an acronym, WICKED, geez, these can't be bad people, is trying to find out, if they have the proper immunities in their system to fight off a horrible plague that's devastating humanity. So our hero is a kid named Thomas, and he leads a bunch of his pals out of a maze in the previous film, and now they're out in the real world where they've been ostensibly rescued by people that are going to bring them to shelter. But, of course, things are not always what they seem. Dylan O'Brien is back as Thomas, Kea Scolodario and Thomas Brody Sangster, the latter from Game of Thrones. They're back as his fellow kids on the run, and they are dealing with adult characters played by, among others, Giancarlo Esposito and Patricia Clarkson, Lily Taylor. These are some top-drawer actors, but, it's like what you call the Michael Caine syndrome. Even if the movie's kind of duff, they're punching a clock and grabbing a paycheck. Good supporting work from those characters. Aidan Gillen, who plays Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, is in this as well. I was engaged. I enjoyed it. And, again, better than some of these other films along the same lines, but still not great. We got to find out what's happening next. There's some cliffhanger action. So if you don't go for that, don't bother with this. If you haven't seen the first film, don't bother. But if you have, not bad. Let's get to something a little better. And like I said, Oscar bait. Black Mass is a docudrama about the notorious mobster Whitey Bulger, the brother of a state senator and considered the most infamous violent criminal in the history of South Boston. So he becomes an FBI informant to take down a mafia family that is invading his turf. Now, this thing stars Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger, and also Benedict Cumberbatch as his brother, Joel Edgerton as the FBI agent from the hood who convinces him to turn, and others, including Kevin Bacon and Dakota Johnson, even Adam Scott, the comic actor. I think he was on Parks and Rec. He's in this thing, and everybody does a great job. And we've recently seen this story in full documentary form with Whitey, and it inspired a story arc in Ray Donovan, but that shouldn't diminish the potency of this ass-kicking and complex drama. Whitey, by the way, I think is Johnny Depp's Don Corleone. His performance is so much better than the self-indulgent throwaway stuff he does with Tim Burton or in the Pirates films. I mean, screw the Mad Hatter and Tonto, and Jack Sparrow has overstayed his welcome, but this really kicks ass. Starting in the 70s in Boston, this just rolls it right up to contemporary times. Directed by Scott Cooper. There's a little bit of that Scorsese vibe about it. I was waiting for a Rolling Stones song on the soundtrack. I got one. Anyway, everyone does first-rate work, and I totally recommend Black Mass. Everest is a highly anticipated 3D adventure thriller because it's based on this unbelievably remarkable 1996 incident when multiple simultaneous climbing expeditions on Mount Everest were devastated by a severe snowstorm. It's a You Are There nail-biter with a really fancy cast that kind of gets shortchanged here and there because of the large number of participants. Jason Clarke is an expedition leader. Josh Brolin is a well-moneyed Texan adventurer. John Hawkes is a passionate climber of modest means. They stand out. Jake Gyllenhaal's here but he stands out less so because his brash character seems like a little more than a sketch, and his screen time is smaller. Emily Watson, Keira Knightley, and Robin Wright are the distaff performers. They're women at base camp or at home, and they're even less impactful. They each get a few seconds of drama. Like Wolf Totem, the 3D in this thing serves a greater purpose beyond video game spectacle. The director is Iceland's Baltazar Kormakur, who previously made the very cool action heist film Two Guns with Mark Wahlberg and Denzel, and the less successful Wahlberg heist film Contraband. But most importantly for our purposes, this guy did the awesome docudrama The Deep, about a young fisherman who has to survive in the freezing North Atlantic when his ship sinks. This movie, Everest, is so tense, and there are moments, thanks to the 3D, that are so dizzying and amazing. It's like one of those Disneyland 360-degree things. So if you're going to see it in the 3D. I thought it was pretty good for what it is. Okay, back to more Oscar bait. Sicario is the Spanish word for hitman. And the movie Sicario deals with an idealistic FBI agent enlisted by a government task force official to aid in the war against drugs on the border between U.S. and Mexico. It stars Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, again, Josh Brolin, Victor Garber, John Bernthal. It is tense, it's brutal, it's dramatic, and a timely thriller about the border drug wars between the U.S. government forces and the cartels and mobs in Mexico and further south. Blunt is an FBI agent and a true believer do-gooder type who gets roped into the task force overseen by Brolin's character, who's appropriately nasty as the shady U.S. official, and an even shadier consultant from Colombia played by Del Toro. As the danger ratchets up and the moral questions get kind of thornier, Sicario gets better and better. The fact that it comes in the wake of the TV series The Bridge, which also addresses crime along the border between El Paso and Juarez, shouldn't deter you from seeing Sicario. I find it kind of weird that Blunt, young Victoria herself, has now appeared in a couple of very recent action roles. One, the wild sci-fi of Edge of Tomorrow, the other, this explosive caper, but I bought her in both movies. Sicario, one of my favorite films, easily in my top 20 of the year so far. Pawn Sacrifice, directed by Edward Glory Zwick. The guy, Edward Zwick, did 30-something. He's best known for directing Glory, and he does this true story set during the hottest era of the Cold War when a Brooklyn-raised chess prodigy named Bobby Fischer, who was increasingly unhinged, found himself pissing off the U.S. government almost as much as the Soviets when he took on the Soviets' champion chess master, Boris Spassky. The propaganda war that surrounded this rivalry between Fischer and Spassky was ongoing world news, and when you throw in Fischer's psychological issues, you get an incredibly riveting real-life drama with serious stakes for all involved. There are biographical details about Fischer from childhood in a bohemian, or more precisely communist household, that impacts his behavior throughout his life. It goes all the way through the historic championship matches with his nemesis and beyond. Tobey Maguire is pretty damn good here as Bobby Fischer. Liev Schreiber is wonderful as Spassky, and you also get Peter Sarsgaard as Fischer's coach. Fantastic. Far more compelling than like sitting and watching a chess match in Washington Square, for instance. Cooties, I caught Cooties and I liked it. It's getting mixed reviews, but I really was up for this tongue-in-cheek, low-budget horror comedy.
Mixed 32% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. Look, I also love Slither and Reanimator and Tremors, which were all kind of tongue-in-cheek, low-budget horror comedies. I like that kind of stuff. A bunch of middle school students come down with a highly contagious zombie-making virus that forces the faculty to fight back or be torn apart and devoured by these bloodthirsty kids. So much for decent cafeteria food. The teachers under siege include one guy spending his first day on the job, played by Elijah Woods, his ex-girlfriend, played by Allison Pill, and her fiancé, who is the school's phys ed instructor, Rainn Wilson from The Office. And Wilson is particularly funny, and watching the threesome kind of navigate a love triangle while running for their lives is one of the things I liked about Cooties. And I liked the slapstick splatter. I liked all that. That didn't bother me one bit. Lee Winnell, who co-created Saw and Insidious, and Ian Brennan, who co-created Glee, team up, so this sort of makes sense. Anyway, I like Cooties. I will rage against the machine on this one. The New Girlfriend is the newest film from French filmmaker Francois Ozon, who directed Swimming Pool with Ludivine Seigner and Charlotte Rampling, and Eight Women, and Young and Beautiful, and numerous other sexy, darkly witty movies of note, usually with the kind of idiosyncratic women. And he's brought out a provocative new film about a woman who learns a shocking secret about the husband of her now deceased best friend. It stars the great Romain Duris as the man in question. It turns out he's a cross-dresser, and he's trying to kind of comfort his newborn child, and that leads to a very interesting relationship between him and the best friend. The woman who plays the best friend is Anaïs de Moustier, a young French actress who I thought was fantastic. I haven't seen her in very much, and Romain Duris is pretty wonderful. I like Ozon's films, and if you do, you'll probably enjoy this one. Quickly wrapping things up, The Cut is from the acclaimed Turkish-German director Fatih Akin, who did Head On and Soul Kitchen, and it's kind of an epic drama about one man's journey through the Ottoman Empire after surviving the 1915 Armenian genocide. It's kind of brutal and lengthy and a little tough to love, and just in its desire to address the genocidal behavior that seems kind of de rigueur in the region. But the protagonist, Odyssey, is kind of numbing. I prefer the film's Head On, a contemporary personality dramedy, and Soul Kitchen. I just prefer those films, but this has its merits. And finally, from France and co-writer, director Melanie Laurent, who was an actress in *Inglourious Basterds* and other films. This is a very harrowing and painful and well-made and well-performed mix of Mean Girls, Heathers, and My Summer of Love, teen psychodrama about the budding friendship between two high school seniors, one smart but timid, the other kind of a brash transfer, and the ugliness that develops. The girls in this thing, whose names you wouldn't recognize, French actresses, are fantastic, and Melanie Laurent does a great job of directing this thing. I thought Breed was cool. It's in limited release in New York and L.A. That's it in movies. How about TV? Is anything starting up? Are you excited about anything?
No.
All righty. No, there's got to be. I'm looking forward to the Muppets TV show.
The reviews on it are terrible.
Ooh, they've seen it already? Oh,
yep.
My God.
Yep. The reviews on it are terrible.
That saves me a half hour.
It does save you a half hour. It may also, but it's costing ABC a lot of money. But they own the characters, so wait a minute, who owns the characters? Yeah, Disney owns the characters now. So
what else? Come on, something you must be. I'm looking forward to the return of Person of Interest. I love that show. So there you go. There's something I'm excited about.
I never watched that. And
That's okay.
I think Doctor Who starts this weekend. I don't know for sure because I really don't care. I lost all caring about that show.
I do. I'm still a dedicated Whovie, and I'm tuning in to BBC America on Saturday. That's me, though.
But it needs a rest. I think it needs another time, another 5, 6, 7, 10 years off, and then come back.
They are. I believe they are taking 2016 off. So there you go. Maybe they know what you're talking about.
They are. I didn't know that.
I think so. Yeah. I think they're going to.
Well, they just announced that what's her name? It's Jenna. What's her name isn't going to be back next year. So
Jenna Coleman, Clara.
This is her last year.
Well, I think she's actually going to play some famous British monarch in a miniseries.
Yes, Victoria. I think.
Wow. Maybe she and Emily Blunt will have a blood wrestling match for the rights. Yeah. For the rights to do that. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, that's it, I guess, huh?
I guess. I can't think of anything that I would even recommend anybody watch.
Wow. Have you gone out to the movies or seen anything indoors that you like lately?
I haven't been to the movies in weeks.
Well, anyway, you can catch me at Twitter at Culture Blaster, or on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast, the page there that you can like or ignore, or listen to me and Alex talk again and again by clicking on the links.
Thank you very much, Michael. See you
You're
next
welcome.
week. Bye-bye. And that's it. Stay tuned for more GabNet right here.